Hello, 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 everybody. This is Ebony, and I am coming to you once again. I hope that you guys are having an amazing day. It is so beautiful outside. I thought, you know what, let me just come out here, but I wanted to stop by just to talk about something that I believe is so important during this time. Shout out to all first responders and essential workers, those that are out there protesting and allowing their voices to be heard. My hats are off to all of you, and I'm just believing God for your peace, your provision, and your protection. I believe that we are in a tremendous hour right now, and I'm just so excited about it. I am so excited because you know what? I believe that it is time for us to truly, truly come into our own, not only as it relates to the uniqueness that God has in store for each one of us, but also so that in us living in that uniqueness that God has given each of us, also being able to establish our voice in such a loud and noisy world. And I believe that each one of us have been given a distinct voice, to be released in our sphere of influence, but also in the nation. And so I believe, that truly this is a time for God's people, to really rise as it relates to your uniqueness and what He has designed for you to do. But today, just a thought, I just want to come to you just to talk to you about something that I believe is so important, and I'm just really going to first and foremost post this as a statement. Be careful what you hear, right? I just want you to think about for a minute. Be careful what you hear. Oftentimes, and I know many of us are painted, what we hear, what we believe, what we perceive, our reality. All these things are rooted in, of course, our values, our belief systems, our morals. They are rooted in our experiences, whether negative or bad, our culture. What we hear is painted by all those things that I just described. And sometimes when we experience pain and when we experience trauma and when we are still battling internally, with different things in our lives, oftentimes our hearing is painted and consumed by the pain and the struggle that we have internally. And often what happens is it causes a disconnect between ourselves and others because, if people are conveying a message that is connected to that internal struggle or to that pain or trauma that you experience, oftentimes what you hear may not necessarily be what that person is attempting to convey to you. I want you to think about it for a minute. Have you ever been involved in a conversation with someone and they said something and you completely overreacted and went ballistic, and afterwards, after being able to process and really hear what you thought you heard was not what you heard? I want you to really think about it. Are there times in your life where you become extremely defensive and you become angry and frustrated because of something that you heard, and then you find out that that's not what that person meant? We can talk about that in marriage. It happens. It's happened in my marriage. I know that many of you that are watching, it has happened in your marriage. In all relationships, we struggle with this, but we are in such a pivotal time right now as it relates to us changing. I heard a message from one of a bishop in this area, Bishop Ralph Dennis, and he talked about how during this season, it is so important for us to become expandable and flexible. And I think about this even as it relates to me discussing this topic in terms of us getting to a place in our lives where we are expanding our level of thinking and really beginning to become flexible as it relates to how we interact and what we hear from other people. Because oftentimes, if what somebody says hits a nerve or hits a chord or an area of struggle in or an area of pain for you, oftentimes you don't hear anything but what your pain is expressing, or what you have felt as a result of that trauma. And oftentimes you even during the conversation will turn your ear off to what that person is saying. And I want to caution you with that. Because part of our process as it relates to moving forward as a people is us gaining the capacity to demonstrate empathy and compassion and a level of presence when we are communicating and engaging in relationships. We have to be willing to hear the perspectives of other people without becoming defensive, without becoming angry and just consumed with whatever our pain source is or whatever our struggle is. God is all about his people connecting. He is all about us gaining a level of capacity where we are able to sustain great and productive relationships. Now, not all relationships are great and not all relationships are productive, but what I've found is one of the biggest barriers in relationships oftentimes is our ability to really hear and understand, and so I really just wanted to take this time this morning just to compel somebody. Be careful what you hear. Sometimes we have to get in, not sometimes, but all the time, we have to get to this place in our life where we don't always feel like a defense is necessary, where we don't always have to fight. So many of us are so accustomed to fighting internally. We are so accustomed to fighting physically. And, till we grow up and we mature and we move in different arenas, but yet that tendency to fight and to struggle grows. It grows with you. It doesn't leave. It just grows with you. And I want to challenge you in that. I want to challenge you to resist the urge, right, to fight when it's not necessary. Now here's what I want to make very clear. This is a thought that came to me this morning, but it has absolutely nothing to do with our fight for justice as it relates to racism and discrimination and profiling and these matters that as a nation we are protesting against. Please make no mistake about it. Whether you are assertive in your protest, whether you are aggressive as it relates to allowing your message to be conveyed in a way that brings force. Listen, I am not touching either one of those things. I am not a proponent of violence by any means. I am a proponent of healing, of freedom, and of all people having the ability to have access to resources and opportunities. So again, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it does have something to do with your ability to sustain and develop productive relationships. It does have something to do with your ability to hear and not be crippled, and paralyzed by the pain of your past or by your experiences, or it does speak to you being able to expand your level of thinking past your values and your belief systems and allow yourself to hear others, allow yourself to hear what other people are trying to convey without interjecting your experiences in. I hope that you hear me. I hope that you understand that it is so important for you to get past those struggles. It's so important for you to allow the forgiveness of your Father to really heal you in the areas that you need to be healed, so that you don't have difficulty cultivating relationships, so that you don't have pre-existing barriers because you fail to hear, or actively listen or be present in conversations and relationships because you are crippled by the pain of your past. I hope this message has been helpful. Please have an amazing day.